Today is Tuesday, April 7th.
I'm Bruce Turner in Melbourne, Florida.
I'm Jeff Zayas in Napa, California.
And I'm Robert Taylor in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Hey everyone, I'm Duke Carrico. On tonight's Tech and Coffee's Android Journal, Nexus products are being discounted. What does that mean? And I'll ask the panel what they think about Chrome OS long term. All this, our app picks, and much, much more. Welcome, gang, to episode 96.
96?
96. Hard to believe, isn't it?
I know.
Are we sure it's 96? Because I thought it was 95. I named the spreadsheet 95.
I believe last week was 95.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, I will do the checking, but before I do, Bruce, last week you were telling us about your WinBook, that you got your bargain discount WinBook, and not because you planned it, but right now as we speak, you are coming to us from that little WinBook. Tell us about your experiences with it. You've been living with it for a week. Tell us about it.
Well, I mean, it's not a mega device, but it does have its uses and a niche, like I talked about last week. Yeah, right now, for whatever reason, my Dell XPS 13, using the USB dongle to Cat5 into this great internet that I usually have here at the Marriott Inn, or the Fairfield Inn Marriott, it wasn't connecting. I called downstairs. They called the tech support and everything. I said, well, let me try the WinBook. So I took the same dongle. It's amazing. The WinBook's got this full-size USB. So I plug in this dongle that's got Cat5 and 3 USB ports. And so in that USB ports, I have the ATR 2100 microphone that I'm using right now, and a Logitech C910 webcam, which has given me much better video than this 2-megapixel camera on the WinBook. So it's really saved me, and that's one of the use cases I think I found for it. Is if something happened, it could help me in a pinch. So, but normally what I've been doing with this is I've been reading Kindle books on it. The last couple of days when I've gone to lunch, I've taken the tablet and opened it up on the table, had conversations with some of our Tech and Coffee friends in the Hangout while I've enjoyed my lunch, and so it's been working really, really good so far. But it's definitely limited. When you're 64 years of age and you got a 7-inch screen, it gets and you wear glasses and you wear progressive lenses on top of that. Every once in a while, you got to look over your lenses and kind of get close, But you can
kept telling me yes. That's what I thought you were doing.
How many fingers am I holding up?
I can't tell right now.
Okay, very good. Hey, Jeff.
Yes, sir.
You recently purchased the LG G3. What have been your experiences with it so far?
I absolutely love it. The battery life has been stellar. I haven't put a lot on it because I just don't want to. I don't want to turn it into like I had my Razer Max kind of loaded up with all this stuff. So I'm trying to keep it very stealth. The cameras, I think the camera's doing really, really well. I do like on the back of the phone they have like hotkeys, which I guess most phones do have. My Razer Max didn't have that. So you can launch different apps from the back. I do like the idea that the volume's on the back of the phone and the power button's on the back of the phone. It has a nice feel to it. I dropped it already on a bike ride and it didn't do anything, so that was good, and I don't have a case for it. So I was really happy. I'm like, I heard it, and I'm looking down and I'm going, damn. But yeah, it didn't break, so no scratches. So it must have hit just right because it went to the pavement from my bike.
Isn't there nothing a more heart-sinking feeling than to hear that skittering of plastic across the asphalt or concrete?
No doubt, and it's less than a week old, and I didn't get a case for it. Sing the blues. But yeah, I like it. I highly recommend it, especially because I got it. It was a free phone for the upgrade, so couldn't go wrong with the price. And so far, the battery life has been stellar. I do like their little health app that's on it. I didn't get anything for a quick charge. It does that wireless charging.
Keep charging. Mm-hmm.
So but I did not get that. I do like the idea of, like, you know, the stuff is very big. I can read it without glasses. So if I went to the phone and dial or my favorite contacts.
Isn't that a 5.5-inch screen?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And it's bright. It's very bright. And, like, you know, they had this little health app, and, you know, so far I've gone 2.2 miles in these apps, and, you know, the sensor knows how many steps I've taken and things like that. So I it's kind of like a full-service phone that I didn't have with the Razr Max because it was so old. You know, it kind of didn't have those additional sensors, but the screen's bright. For me, it's snappy. I like the pictures that it takes. So far, so good. I like it.
Jeff, there's how many steps I've taken today.
Yeah.
We're right about the same there. I noticed on your step count.
Yeah, 2.83 miles on mine.
Yeah, very good. So you know, the what we think is going to be called the G4 is coming out.
Yep.
Towards the end of this month. You think you're going to have buyer's remorse when it does?
I always have buyer's remorse, but probably not.
If B4 was coming or not.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
it took him a week to peel the plastic off the front. Come on, Duke.
No, you know, I'm not going to, because it was such a great deal. You know, I mean, that is, you know, that's predicated on it. If you feel good about the deal and you, like, you know, like Bruce's tablet, you got a great deal on it. You know, if it doesn't work up, you know, 1,000%, you have to be forgiving because of what you paid for it. And if it does like 80% of what you want at a cost that's very, very reasonable, you can't go wrong. So for me, it was an upgraded phone, an upgrade from my Razr Max. The battery life is stellar. It's not that big in my pocket. I like the ergonomics of it. It's, again, the picture's good. The apps run quickly, so I like it.
Very good, very good. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's talk about some other deals. First of all, Best Buy's got the Nexus 9 suddenly discounted, the 16 gigabyte version. It's a 75 discount, now sitting at $325. Okay, so and while we're talking about deals, also Amazon has the blue 32 gigabyte Nexus 6 for $584. This is $66 off the original list price. Okay, now I need to clarify. This is on Amazon, but it's a third-party seller. They only had 9 of them, and they're probably gone. Okay, this was not an Amazon exclusive deal here. All right. But my question to you guys, these deal alerts are coming early. Do you think that it's because these things were not moving at their original prices? Robert, weigh in here, man.
I got to tell you, I think that the Nexus 9 tablet certainly was met with lackluster reviews at best. The fact that the price drop is coming into play now is really no surprise, and I wouldn't doubt it's because they've got a number of units that are kind of stacked up that should have been in the hands of users. But most folks looked at the change from the Nexus 7 2013 to the Nexus 9 and said, you gave us a little bit more screen space, but the specs are not that stellar. There's nothing to justify, you know, a nearly 100% price increase. I mean, you went from a $200 to $250 tablet to a $400 price point on a tablet, and at a time where tablet usage is plummeting. People are going to Chromebooks and larger-based phones. Look what Jeff just did. And the fact that Bruce picked up a tablet is a fluke. He will still tell you, I guarantee, that he's going to be a one-device man as a general rule, and that's going to be his phone, and for his computer, he's going to have his Chromebook. That's that. He's not going to carry around a tablet. So you're going to have to drop the price of these units to make the move. The inventory sitting on the shelf at this point, at this stage in the game, is a very bad sign.
Yeah, I think, I've been looking awfully hard at that NVIDIA 8-inch tablet, and $300 for the 16 gig version. And, when I look at the specs on this device, the only thing that this really has on it is it's got a better, I'm going to say more of a standard and a slightly better display than the NVIDIA does. But, we've always said all along that it was overpriced, everybody on this panel, and the reviews, just like you said, Robert, I mean, the reviews were terrible. Hey, Android Police said that if you're going to buy a tablet, buy an iPad. I mean, man, that's Android Police,
You know what I like? I like looking at the comments on this article. There's like nobody cares. It has to come down to like $200 to make it even, a decent deal. And when you start getting comments like that, you're in trouble.
Yeah, it speaks volumes, and you're going to have stacked up inventory, and they can't. There's no way that they can possibly just let these devices collect dust someplace. It's not like something that a piece of furniture that it doesn't matter if it sits around for an extra 2 or 3 months. With technology, 2 or 3 months is a lifetime. So, sitting on the shelf someplace is just bad news. And obviously, I think price is a big part of it, and the other part is that there wasn't that much of an improvement over the previous version. And you've got declining usage. I mean, put all that together, you're talking about overstock city.
Okay. Hey, what about the Nexus 6 being discounted by that third-party seller? I mean, can we say the same thing, that the Nexus 6 just it isn't selling? It's hey, listen, these Nexus devices, they're a niche market. We know that they're not going to sell like Amazon devices or Samsung devices, but I'm sorry, I'm still a little bit surprised that we're seeing discounts like this early. I mean, these things haven't been in the market that long.
Yeah, but you got to look at, this is a third-party seller and it's a limited amount. Okay, this is not a big box, coming out saying, here we're going to take off 25%, and actually it's only $66 off. You're only talking about a 10% drop in price. Okay, so some third party might have decided, let's get rid of this inventory, let's just move it out at cost and get it going. That, at best the 10% was their profit margin on the units. But had this been Best Buy, or had this been some other major retailer, dropping these phones down 10-20%, then I might be a little bit more surprised or a little bit more concerned for the Nexus 6 line. But I would also say that the fact that they've not done well with the 5.1 or the Lollipop rollout, I think has hurt their name. And you have manufacturers like Samsung, HTC, LG coming out with less bloatware on their phones. They're starting to pull back that bloatware to make it more of a pure Nexus device. That adds into it too. I don't have to buy a Nexus if I can get my phone unlocked if I purchase it straight out. So, having a Nexus device is not that big a deal anymore. If you're interested in getting a pure Android device, you get your device unlocked by your carrier, which is now required if you own the phone straight out and you're not under contract. There you go.
And like you said, just to dovetail off that, Lollipop has not been this most stellar, stable release. So why do you want to be on the bleeding edge?
I think the price of the Nexus 6 hurt it. I think the size. I think not everybody's really, into that size of a phone right now. I think both of those things had an impact on its success as well. And there may have been some people holding out for other phones that they knew were going to be coming out soon. The Samsung Galaxy 6, for instance.
Very good. Very good. I tell you what, guys. If I can line this up here really quick. A Black Caesar X is a Chromebook, a serious alternative to a desktop or laptop computer. So let's discuss this. I put up a poll, guys, and I asked in the Tech and Coffee community, long term, what are we going to see? Can Chrome OS become a dominant operating system? Yes, no, why? And here's how I posed the questions. I had 2 yes questions, 3 no questions. The first 2 yes questions. Yes, in time, several years, 19% believed that in several years, Chrome OS can be a dominant OS. The next yes question was yes when Android apps run within it. 33% believe that. Now this was this next one was the highest scored. It will always be a niche product. 36%. 9% said it will never be dominant, and 3% said Microsoft will eventually win. Now, if you take the 2 yes questions and you add them together, 52% believe that Chrome OS can be a dominant operating system. 48% don't believe it'll happen. All right. Now, listen, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this poll and have this panel discuss this is, Robert, I think you're a Chrome OS fan. You're just not as big of a Chrome OS fan as Bruce, Jeff, and myself.
Right.
Weigh in here, man. What do you think? I mean, I'm talking over the next 4 or 5 years. What will Chrome OS look like?
Well, there's an important distinction that's coming up. We're moving away from locally owned apps and local OSs in terms of what OS X and Microsoft currently offer. We have to recognize that within 3 to 5 years, our computing experience will be done solely online and through a browser. And at that point, Chrome and Google will have a significant advantage because they would have developed that environment solely based on web cloud computing with Chrome OS. Microsoft is starting to take inroads into that, especially coming with Windows 10, but they're still 3 years behind Google. And so applications, once we get past the point, and we are very nearly there now, you don't buy an application and load a floppy disk anymore. You don't load a CD-ROM or a DVD-ROM. We actually skipped even past applications being delivered on flash drives, which is kind of what I had expected to happen, is that we would stop with CDs and DVDs and we would start receiving applications on flash drives. We're past that point now that we're not even going to install the app. We're going to pay for our use of that app, and that application will be done through the internet in a cloud computing environment. And Google is way far ahead of anybody else in this field, and that is what is going to be our computing platform of the future. And so Chrome OS very much will be a lead contender in that, simply because they were the first to do it. Chrome OS now is very capable. I am surprised that we don't have Android apps yet. I would have thought we would have by now. But I know that they're coming, and once we introduce apps that are cross-platform and capable, the answer to Black Caesar's question is it a capable replacement for a laptop computer? Yes, with certain limitations based on use case scenario. So long story short, I do believe that Chrome OS is a contender, and I do believe that the Chromebook can be a laptop or desktop replacement, but it depends on what you're doing specifically with it. If you work in an environment where your apps are moved already to a cloud-based circumstance, you will do just fine. But if you still need to use apps that you physically have to install, it's not going to be an experience you're going to like at all.
Okay. Bruce, weigh in, man.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Chromebook. You know, I've got this Dell XPS 13, and some of you have asked me the question, you know, is he going to leave his Chromebook behind? You know, there are still some things that the Chromebook really does so much better. For instance, you know, I traveled down here to our home office in Florida where I'm at right now for 5 or 6 months just using the Chromebook and then using Chrome Remote Desktop to remote into my business machine running back home. And I would take the HDMI right out of the Chromebook, plug it into a real nice 22-inch Dell monitor, and it works good. When I wanted to take my Chromebook to a meeting, I just unplugged it, went to the meeting, and when I went back, I plugged it back in. It just knew exactly what I wanted on that external monitor. You know, with this Dell XPS 13, every time I unplug it from the dock and bring it back in, I've got to put everything back up there. I've got to resize everything and get it just right. And so, you know, I think the Chromebook is so simple. If people realized how easy it is to restore with the Power Wash, how safe and secure it is, unless you're doing major video editing and major audio editing, it's just a breeze. It's simple. And I was thinking the other day, you know, if I'm retired and I'm traveling around full-time in a motorhome, just give me my Chromebook and my smartphone. I've got everything I need.
There you
And
go.
I agree with Robert, 110%. It's where we're going, and they've got the head start.
Jeff, your thoughts, man. Can Chrome become a dominant operating system? Can it unseat Windows?
Can it unseat Windows? Probably not at this point. 10 years down the road, you know, maybe. I agree with both Robert and Bruce. A little bit more with on the Bruce side because, you know, there are certain, you know, currently processes that you have to do on a desktop with mega, especially if you're into video processing or some, you know, video editing or even some audio file stuff that you have to kind of have niche drivers that are for you know, soundboards or things like that if you're a musician or something. So, you know, there is some stuff that is kind of, you know, it's going to be either in the Mac world or in the Microsoft world. But for, you know, other sectors like education, you know, and the school districts and things like that, Chromebooks are reducing their cost tremendously because, again, there is no real control of it. You don't have to worry about viruses. You don't have to worry about setting up servers. You know, it's all that stuff is taken care of for you. So it's, you know, it's a way cheaper alternative to get some you know, tools into, you know, students' hands. So, and I would not, if I had, you know, to buy my mom something again, a Chromebook would be the answer. Because, you know, if she there's no problems with it, right? And like Bruce says, you know, you're just like a couple clicks away from starting off fresh. Because if I look at it, when I remote into my mom's computer, I see all this crap at the bottom, and I just want to puke because, you know, it's kind of all this stuff that she's loaded on or just happened to load on. You know, it's just crazy in that toolbar what's has taken place, right? So, you know, I think that there is a strong, especially now with the Intel processors being in the Chromebooks, right? Yeah, giving them more power, more video processing, more RAM, longer battery life, and now it's even getting juicier with touch pads and touch screens and things like that. So I think Chrome is well on its way, and obviously it is because it's been a big hit, right? It's been a big hit, though. It's the #1 selling laptop on Amazon for a while, and I don't see that going away.
Okay, but let me catch you with a question real quick. You mentioned the video editing and the photo processing, and I agree with you, and that's where I put my caveats in. But if there were apps that brought those functionalities, there's nothing specific about those particular technologies that says that it has to be done locally on your machine. If that functionality existed in a browser-based application, you could still do that.
Perhaps if you had to send a file up for conversion, and or something like that. But when you're doing encoding, heavy-duty encoding on a video, it uses up a lot of CPU.
And there's a lot to be said when it comes to video editing to be able to do it locally on the machine. I do think that's Robert's caveat.
Yeah.
And I would say that's true, but let me ask you a question. If you had a service that offered video editing in the cloud, who do you think is going to have the more powerful processing machine, you or Adobe?
Well, Adobe does have that now, but again, you're at the mercy of being in a queue, perhaps, right?
I agree, but my statement is that we are moving to a cloud-based computing world,
sure.
And your apps will not be apps that you're going to install on your machine.
Yeah, but if you're a corporation like Sony, right? Or a big movie house like Spielberg, Industrial Light and Magic, right? Are you going to let your private property be held in the cloud?
Absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. But you know what you are going to have at that point? You're going to have the same servers that Adobe has. So it's not going to be the desktop that's going, and I can guarantee, I tell you right now, that it doesn't occur on the local desktop. The actual encoding is done by the servers. It's just the desktops that are running the instruction set to the server to tell it where to encode. And so I understand what you're saying, but again, my point is that the interface between the user and the application is going to be a browser-based window only. Whether that server that actually is performing the action is a server that's owned by Google or Microsoft or Adobe or an in-house server that somebody owns, it doesn't matter. The interface is a web browser interface, and for that is where Chrome OS exists right now. That's what puts them ahead of the game, and that's what makes it as a very viable threat to OSs, traditional OSs like Windows and OS X.
Yes.
Black Caesar, really quick, and then there's a whole lot of questions and comments flowing in here, so I want to get to those. But real quick, Black Caesar, here is an Acer Chromebook. It's got the i3 processor, 4 gigs of RAM, a 32 gigabyte SSD, a little better than $350. Now, the problem that I see right now with Chrome is these manufacturers either make them super cheap or ultra expensive, as in the Pixel. What we need is some better hardware on Chrome OS, backlit keyboards, a little bit better displays. We're starting to see those now. But listen, I myself believe that Chrome could be the operating system of choice. The cloud continues to grow and get better. And we'll see in a few years, but I've got to say that right now today, if you had any kind of video editing to do, so forth, etc., I wouldn't recommend a Chromebook to you. But if all you're doing, if you're looking for something portable on the go to stay in touch, man, I'm telling you right now, it's hard to beat a Chromebook, especially for the price. Hey, really, really quick, let's get on here. Black Caesar is arguing with us. Let's see. Wrong. Sony does have a cloud editing software for professionals, and the films remain in the cloud to collaborate. I use WeVideo to edit in the cloud. I've used WeVideo myself, and it's tolerable on a Chromebook. I won't say it is a good experience, but I can get it done. You guys have anything to add to that?
And that's what I had said to Jeff. We know that Sony has their own cloud editing software and servers internally. That is a given. But the average user does not. So right now, if you're going to do video editing, you're going to have a desktop machine, capable desktop machine and software, because there is no video editing cloud solution for the average user. Jeff, Bruce, you or I. None of us have any cloud-based video editing solutions. That does not exist for us.
Well, it depends on how complicated you get. YouTube gets better and better all the time, adding more and more video editing features that you can do right from YouTube. And let's be honest, a lot of people, that's all they're doing is making YouTube videos. I mean, I don't do a whole lot of major video editing anyway that would require more than what the Chromebook could currently do. Jeff, I think out of all of us, probably does the most video editing, within this panel.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Joe Youssef, this is going back to the Nexus 6 and 9 discussion. Could they be discounting the Nexus 6 to get ready for a new line to replace the Nexus line? Joseph, if history is any indicator at all, no. It's way too early in the game for Google to be readying a new device. We normally don't see those till late September, early October. Let's see. I have a Chromebook in my house I did not think I would love until I tried it for a few weeks. I think I still need at least one workstation in my house, but I would get one for every family member. Exactly, Joseph. For the price of what they are and as handy as they are, I know exactly where you're coming from. And
let me add too. People talk about Chromebooks. They talk about the comparison. You mentioned it. Cheap versus the Pixel. There's nothing in my mind at all cheap about my Acer C720. It has held up. It doesn't get scratched. The hinges are fine. The screen, everything. It's almost in the same condition. 99.9% of the same condition it was when I bought it. I don't look upon my C720 as something cheap. I just don't.
Fair enough. And I probably should clarify. When I say cheap, I'm not necessarily talking about an inferior build quality. I'm just talking about lots and lots and lots of plastic. How's that?
Well, yeah, and I agree. And most other laptops have lots and lots of plastic. But I've had Dell Inspirons and Dell Latitudes and other things break and have to be sent back and repaired, or have IT replace keyboards or plastic housings around the screen. A lot of stuff that I just haven't ever had with my Chromebook. And man, my Chromebook, that's traveled a lot with me to the coffee house and on planes and different places. I've just not been disappointed with the build quality of my C720.
Plus, if the OS is it's a pleasure, right? I mean, it doesn't slow down. All of a sudden you go, I installed this program in Windows and everything seems to be really slow. I have no idea what's running in the background, and here it's completely different. And a power wash sets everything back. I mean, geez, to do that What do you? How many times in Windows have you had to go back to your earlier system restore and then go back another one before that, right? Because you installed some program and messed up, some kind of USB port or something. This is like what? So no, the OS is just stellar for what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, really quick. Joe is talking here about Cloud Photoshop is an example, and I think we mentioned that. And Joe also said perhaps with manufacturers going with the vanilla Android look, then it's accomplishing Google's goal of using Google's features. And I think the point that Joe's trying to make here, he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what he's trying to say is as manufacturers continue to push out decent hardware with near vanilla Google experience, Google really might not have a cause to release Google branded hardware.
I agree. I mean, you look what's happening with Cyanogen and now Oxygen on the One that they're coming out with. I mean, I agree.
Okay, and finally, Black Caesar X is pointing out that anyone can buy the Sony C online cloud video editing. It's not necessarily built for just professionals, but it's more of a consumer version of this cloud video editing software, I think is what he's saying.
Well, I have a question for Black Caesar since he's using that. Can you import After Effects projects into Sony CI? That's because I'm just kind of curious. If he can either get back to us later on that, that'd be great if he's using that. Because I have Sony Vegas and you can do Premiere files, but you can't do After Effects, just as a thing, since he's familiar.
Okay. Hey, guys, getting back to the poll that I put up on this, I just want to really, I want to quickly go and highlight some of the comments here. Doug Clement is saying that he really likes Chrome OS, and he points out you got quick boot time, it's simplistic, you don't need any kind of antivirus, most purchases are inexpensive, but he says he really does wish that Android apps ran on the Chrome OS, so you don't need extensions, and it could mirror more closely his Droid. He thinks that both Microsoft and Apple are positioned to provide the same experiences advantage that are currently offered with Chrome OS. I agree with all of that, Doug. Most people, even though they may have a Chromebook, also have Windows, Mac, or Linux machines, and that's a good point. I love to go on and on about how much I love Chrome OS, but I'm doing this podcast from a Windows machine running an application called XSplit Broadcaster. So that's very, very true. Very true. I think we, as much as I'll tout Chrome, I still keep my Windows and Linux machines around, absolutely. And let's see. Paul Williams says, until the world becomes less reliant on Office and Windows games, it'll be lucky to make a significant dent in the market. Pity. On enterprise, I do agree with you, Paul, but I really think that from a personal level, a lot of us are moving to Chrome for the simplicity. And, let's not underestimate these kids in all of these schools who are using Chromebooks now, getting indoctrinated to the Google platform. You guys have anything to add to that?
That's the same thing Apple did.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the same thing Apple did.
Yeah, Amon Rizwan says that Chrome OS is nice and should gain momentum because then only Microsoft will pull their socks up. Windows 8 was a disaster, which they tried to undo by 8.1, and it somewhat worked as well. And, man, I just want to add that Windows 10 will be free. And I think that that's how they have to compete with Chrome on the low end. they've got other means to compete with Apple on the upper end. But absolutely. Hey, Stephen Sharp says, I think it can, but I don't think it will. I believe Android is closer just because of the popularity of the mobile OS. Why is Chrome OS not as popular, even for those it is best suited for? Familiarity. A large amount of people are familiar with Android, and that is only growing. And while I will agree with that, I've still yet, when it comes to the laptop experience, my Android tablet with a Bluetooth keyboard is still not the experience that my Chromebook is. What about you guys?
Yeah, I would agree. I would love to see. There are some apps that I'd really like to see ported over to Chrome OS, and unless they're going to merge together. But one of those would be Zoom, which is a video conferencing platform I use at work. Skype. A lot of people would like to see Skype. I don't use Skype much anymore, but would like to see that over there.
All right, and really quick, these two are the same. Frost Polster says, I really don't understand why Chrome OS has to dominate. A player, yes, but will it become something more than a niche market as the machines begin to evolve into something similar to the current Pixel? And then Ann Catron B says, I hope not. I like diversity in every aspect of life. Diversity helps pushing development as we have to be on our toes. First of all, I really don't understand totally these two comments. Right now, Windows OS is dominant. Okay, we can argue the good things about that and the bad things about it, but Windows OS is dominant. If Microsoft was to go broke tomorrow, and a year from now, Windows machines really weren't on the market because they really weren't being supported properly, Apple would be dominant. And we can talk about the good and bad. Somebody's going to be dominant. My question was, excuse me, can Chrome do this? Oh, goodness. All right, and really quick, guys, Black Caesar X says that, yes, he believes it is too expensive for him. And he has also provided a link here, which I can't click right now at this time, but that is a link. It looks like Sony's cloud-based workspace. It's an article to that. Okay. Hey, guys, anything else on that one?
Well, I wonder how much Chrome OS has taken away from the tablet market once they gained popularity. So is it just like Google? Is Google getting into the cereal business? When I mean cereal, I have different brands on the shelf, and I don't care which one you grab as long as you grab mine. So you either grab the Android or you grab the Chrome OS or perhaps something else, but just stay on my shelf. Don't go to these other shelves. So I'm kind of curious. I don't know if they're doing that, because why didn't they make Android for the desktop? Why didn't they, push it in that direction?
Another neat thing. Just say this too about the Chromebook. When I watched an online church service. I'm on staff of one of these online churches. When I HDMI out of my Chromebook into my my really nice Samsung flat screen TV, I can shut the lid on my Chromebook, and it knows I'm extending and just continues to extend to the TV. Do the same thing on this Dell XPS 13. As soon as you close the lid, doesn't matter if you're mirroring or extending, it goes to sleep, and you can't do it. Just some things are so incredibly simple about the Chromebook, and if people ever got wind of it, my neighbor, she had an old Dell Inspiron. Man, that thing was loaded up, Duke, with probably 1,000, 1,500 pieces of malware, and she had all kind of toolbars and coupon apps and everything. I tried my best to fix that thing. I ended up putting Windows 10 Technical Preview on it, but she had Microsoft Office. I showed her Google Documents. I showed her how to do spreadsheets and all that. She was just amazed. I think more people find out about the Google Sphere and the practicality and security of Chromebooks. I think they're going to get bigger.
All right, man. I'll tell you what's the truth.
Great.
That was a lot of discussion around
Yeah.
OS. A lot of good discussion. I appreciate it, guys. Hey, really quick here. Let's talk about some research that Pew did on the portrait of smartphone ownership. And basically, let me throw some numbers at you guys here really quick. First of all, 64% of Americans now own a smartphone. Okay, this is up about 8% from last year. Okay, and let's talk about the cost of smartphone ownership. 29% of smartphone owners are on an individual plan, and these include the prepaid plans. And most of these users spend less than $100 a month on their cell bill. 34% individual plan holders say their monthly bill is less than $50. 43% say their bill is between $50 and $100. Just 2% of smartphone owners on the individual plans pay $150 or more. 68% of smartphone owners belong to some sort of group or family plan. 23% of smartphone owners have had to cancel or suspend their service due to financial constraints. Smartphone owners encounter a range of problems with their devices, from functional to financial. Okay? Guys, what do you think of these numbers? Sound about right? Surprised by them? Think their numbers would have been higher or lower?
I'm a little bit surprised to hear about the financial constraint part. Some of the numbers we know, and they make sense. The 85% of Americans age 18 to 29 hold a smartphone. That is no surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. Go look at any college campus, you'll never see a single person looking up. They're always down, like this. The numbers of seniors, elderly folks, are very low. They're very low ownership of smartphone users. That's no surprise either. My mother-in-law, God bless her, she hung on to her feature phone for the longest time until basically Verizon said, we don't sell feature phones anymore. If you want a new phone, you got to get, a smartphone. And oddly enough, she ended up getting an iPhone. She loves it. It's great. But my father-in-law, he will not give up his feature phone. He just won't do it. So those numbers, as far as what age groups and percentages, that didn't surprise me. But the reason why this article caught my eye, and it was from one of our listeners, Douglas Clement, a member of the Tech and Coffee community too, he posted it, was the thing about the financial concerns, the financial constraints. A quarter of all users had to have their cell phone service suspended or turned off because of financial constraints. What does that say to us?
Well, what does it say? I've told this story before, Robert, about going to the grocery store, getting behind a couple who had a grocery cart absolutely stocked full of groceries. Okay? Both of them had their faces firmly planted in their brand new iPhones. Okay, I assume they were new. They wouldn't look up. The lady had to literally tell them she was ready for them to pay. And the guy looked up and said, oh, she's going to pay. And then he had to call her again to say, hey, honey, she's ready. And the girl pulled out her EBT card.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Both of them had iPhones, but yet they were paying for their groceries with food stamps. Okay? What does that say about us as a society?
I'm not sure, but that's kind of scary to me, that we place such a level of importance on the phone that we would put ourselves in harm's way financially. That we sign contracts that we have no business doing, or that we allow people who are at a poverty level that would require governmental aid but yet can be sporting a $600 telephone. That's very disturbing to me. It means that it says to me that our balances and our understanding of want versus need is not very good. We don't have clear understanding of what that is. While I do believe that communication is an integral part of life, I also do not, an important part of existing in society today, I do not think that means or defines that people should be putting themselves in financial harm's way and hurting themselves, by paying for $600 iPhones or $700 Samsung phones. It just doesn't make sense to me. It is bizarre.
It's all about the installment plan. Look, people get suckered into. You see people driving, new Hyundai Elantras, new Nissan Versas. They're doing these lease. I've been down here in Florida. There's a Hyundai dealership where you can sign and drive for $98 a month and pull off the lot with a Hyundai Accent. So you put it on installment. You go on the AT&T Next plan or whatever Verizon's plan is, and it's $19 a month, $27 a month. They put it on the installment plan, and that's they wanna keep up with the with the Joneses, and so yeah, it's a little mixed up. So
and wherever you are, in any kind of store or anything like that, people are always talking on the phone, right? They're talking on the phone just to talk while they're walking, and if they don't have unlimited minutes, that's going to be a problem if for cost. If they're playing Candy Crush and kind of always buying in-app purchases, because they want to level up for some reason or whatever they're doing, that's why it's $1 billion industry for in-app services, right? In-app purchases. So, and all that gets billed to your cell phone. So, I think that it is kind of crazy that takes place. But then on the other side, you have people who are downsizing, not having a home phone anymore. They're just using their cell phone. That a lot of people are unplugging that kind of thing. I don't need to have a hardline phone anymore. I'm going to use my cell phone for everything. There's fax services that allow you to fax from the internet and things like that. So do you really need a hardline? People look at that and they start making those choices. So I think it cuts both ways. But I'm not surprised at the smartphone usage because everyone is more and more connected. And how old is Pamela Anderson? I can find out in a second. Okay, Google. I need to know now.
Yeah.
Hey, really quick, Black Caesar X is asking, what is the man in the hotel room broadcasting on? And he, Douglas Clement, answered him by saying that Bruce Turner is using a Windows 8.1 tablet TW700, and you can get it on Amazon for about $80. Correct, Bruce?
Yep, and I'm plugging an Audio-Technica ATR 2100 microphone and a Logitech C910 to give me extra quality. So.
Yes, and Joseph Youssef says there is. This is to you, Bruce. There is a setting in Windows that allows you to extend your screen, even with the laptop lid closed. You need to be careful, though, with heat, as some laptops vent heat through the keyboard, such as the MacBook. And Black Caesar says, you know this is Carlos. Yes, Carlos. I know who you are, brother. Yep, and the Audio Technica mic is a Tech and Coffee recommend very, very often, believe me. And finally, Joe Youssef says that he likes the smartwatch that Duke is sporting. Joseph, I like it too, man. Here you go. You haven't got to see it. Let me show it to you. There it is, buddy, right there. And yeah, swipe up and get notifications. Oh, it's so cool. I am enjoying it, absolutely. All right, hey guys, really, really quick because we're quickly running out of time. Hey, follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Tech and Coffee 1, YouTube at Tech and Coffee. Search Google Plus for that TNC logo because it's our favorite social network. Catch our podcast on Stitcher Radio and iTunes. Tweet us using the hashtag and coffee. Questions, comments, and snide remarks. AJ at techandcoffee.info. Hey, Bruce, what kind of app you got tonight, man?
Man, I wish I had an app. If I did, it'd be hard for me to demo it on this little tablet, so I'm going to have to pass for tonight. All
right. Hey, Jeff, you're up.
Hey, I do have an app, but since we're pressed for time, do you want to go to your Kodi app, since it's probably way better than what I'm going to show?
Well, I'll tell you what. I was not going to share my phone screen. I was just going to tell everyone I have in the past featured SPMC, which is a port of the XBMC. Of course, XBMC changed its name to Kodi, K-O-D-I. This is a complete media center. It's been used by everyone on the panel tonight, and I think we all would speak very highly of this media center app. They are beta testing the Android platform right now. To get it, you need to go to the Google Plus community and search for Kodi. They have two tests. They have an alpha test and a beta test. Over on the right-hand side, you need to sign the Kodi Beta Builds Agreement. Once you do that, there is a link to download Kodi directly from the Play Store. No side loading involved. And I'm telling you guys, this is such a great, complete media center app. Runs great on Android. I actually watched CNN News live from my truck today while I ate lunch. So just keep that in mind. Yes, you can do the weather on it. It's got all kinds of settings. By the way, if you want to install it on your desktop PC or other platforms to where you can watch it from your TV, there are several good remotes out there, and I would highly recommend that you check out this beta build. Obviously, it's free, and that's Kodi, K-O-D-I. Rob, what do you got, man? Anything?
Hey, can I dovetail on the Kodi thing real quick, if you don't mind?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to share that you can actually go to the Kodi Kodi.tv.download, and you can get it directly from there. And if you have a previous version of XBMC on your system, it will once you install it, it will automatically import all the configuration settings and everything that you have, all the add-ons. So if you just want to upgrade from the XBMC to the Kodi, it's very simple. Just install it, and when it runs the first time, it imports everything in there.
Yeah, very good. And but if you don't have it on, to do it your way is to sideload, and to do it my way is directly from the Play Store.
Yep.
Yep. So go ahead, Robert.
No app for me tonight. It's going to be next week. I'll have an app for you.
All right. And really quick, guys, the rest of the questions, I'm sure this came from when I was showing my watch, and Joe also says, long live Microsoft, and he is using Kodi to watch Android Journal. Very good, Joseph. Excuse me. Hey, guys, anything else?
I do want to also say Jeff and I both, I believe, side-loaded Kodi on our Fire Sticks,
Yep.
and it works fabulously well. Very, very nice.
Another hint is get the Yahtzee app for Android, although they don't have it in the Play Store anymore, and you can use that once you configure it to use it as a remote. It's a great remote for the for XBMC/Kodi.
Why did they take Yahtzee out of the Play Store? Do we know?
I thought they was something with the developer infringement or something.
Okay.
And I haven't had a chance to try it yet, but the XBMC folks, I should say Kodi folks, I believe the remote control is called Core, Kore, but they now have an Android app specific to, this is built by the Kodi folks, and don't hold me to it, but I believe they're calling it Core, Kore, so you might want to check that out as a remote.
Yep.
Hey guys, listen, we are Tech and Coffee. Tweet us using the hashtag Tech and Coffee, and hey, we'll see y'all in 7. Thank you guys so very much. Later, gang.